Well, it certainly was plenty rainy out there today. We'll get to that in a second, but let's start with the maximum wind gusts we've seen today, and we're now pretty much going to be done with the heavy wind, even though it's still windy over down east and northern Maine. The strongest wind gust was Greenville at 49 miles an hour, 48 miles an hour in Portsmouth. Most of us, though, stayed in the range that I thought we would, which is 40 to 45 miles an hour. There are actually a couple of spots where the winds were lighter than that, into Freiburg, into Lewiston, in the upper 30s there. So we had at one point 70,000 people without power. That was the peak of it, and that had to do mainly with these wind gusts into the mid 40s here through the late morning into the middle of the day. Now the winds have settled down except for extreme down east Maine, and rainfall totals here, we're going to have to wait to get the totals out of down east Maine as it continues there. But Bethel, 3.34 inches of rain. And I will tell you, these are official reports. We had several pictures sent in to me of over 4 inches on rain gauges, mainly in the mountains, so Carrapassett Valley and Kingfield area. And then there was one that was near Bridgeton too that was over 4 inches, and I certainly buy that. I think there were spots of 4 to 4.5 inches. Good news, there was no substantial flooding with that, and then we saw lesser amounts as you headed to the east from that heavy band of rain. So the rest of this rain will continue to move off to the east through the evening, and really down east Maine will be the last spot, extreme down east Maine, to clear out, as will northern Maine. And so that will take into the early morning hours. And in some cases, we're talking 4 or 5 in the morning before the last of the rain has moved out. And with that, we'll clear from southwest to northeast tomorrow. So in some spots like Freiburg and Sanford, back into North Conway, New Hampshire, it'll start sunny and it'll be nice all day. Portland probably is the same way. But over down east Maine, it'll take until the middle of the day to clear these clouds out, and then we'll be sunny. I think we peak into the upper 60s, maybe even a low 70 possible tomorrow afternoon. Things really looking nice, and then partly cloudy to mostly clear tomorrow night. Relatively mild for this time of the year, temperatures in the 40s to around 50 degrees. And then Sunday looks good. It's a mixture of sun and clouds, temperatures in the 60s, probably some mid 60s during the afternoon. And then our next storm system starts to move in on Monday, and that'll be some showers moving through. So overall next week is unsettled. Nothing like the front we saw today as far as intensity or rainfall or winds or any of that. But we get into a pattern where there's this big upper level low sitting over us, and that just tends to promote cooler than average temperatures and also some instability. And so that's where we're going to be at next week. I don't think there's a lot of heavy rain in here, but I think there's chances of showers, kind of a cool pool of air spinning down from here. We see these kind of lows in the spring and in the fall, and they tend to make our weather a little bit unstable. Keep in mind, this is not accounting for the rain we just saw, but thinking about the rainfall amounts we got and how we had very little flooding from it, part of what happened here is that we did need some of the rain, especially into the mid-coast and southern coastal Maine, and even areas that are not in a drought anymore. Soil moisture was a little bit below average, so that allowed us to absorb a little bit more than we normally be able to without having runoff and flooding problems. Kind of a perfect situation, because when you get into severe or extreme drought, sometimes that soil actually doesn't absorb well at all. You run off quicker and have more flooding problems. So again, the rest of the weekend looks good, clearing out. Saturday afternoon looks good, Sunday looks good into the low 60s there. Late sprinkles possible Monday into Tuesday, and this is that upper level low that we just talked about, where it gets a little unstable, a little showery, and cooler. Temperatures only in the 50s for Wednesday and Thursday, and probably low 50s Thursday afternoon. That means a lot of the day is going to be spent actually in the 40s. Clouds increase on Friday, and we'll wait to see what happens next weekend. At this point, it looks like we could pop back into the 60s.